Alright, got some tools and some of my supplies needed for the modded Shuko video. So I'm just going to start off by doing I guess an overall supply list and where to get a lot of this stuff. I'm going to have websites where you can get some of the odd things, I guess, if you can't find them at any store near you. But they're all not hard to find items. So we'll get started with the first thing on your list is the Shuko. It costs around 10 bucks. You can get them maybe cheaper, but the Shuko. I've seen that there's been a lot of different thicknesses in the bands, the way they're bent, how much they're welded. They'll all work. Pretty much your preference which ones, or your luck which ones you get. I've had ones that were really thin material but weren't bent as much. This one's got a nice thick band, but these are bent over a lot. But the tips already have a pretty nice shape to them. So that's the first thing you need is the Shuko. Second is pliers. Pliers I use just these normal everyday pliers. That's used to when we heat up the Shuko or the claws. You can just tweak these back straight. So that's simple. Heat source. You can either use a propane torch or an oxy torch. I have both, but a propane torch, I think when I was at the store, I just looked to see how much it was. I think it was around 15 bucks. But it's just blue propane torch. That'll heat up the steel enough to where you can bend it straight and then bend it back into a nice little curve on it. If you want to spend the extra money, if you want to do more at-home stuff, you can invest in the oxyacetylene torch. Those run anywhere from $35 to $45. But you can do a lot more with it. You can heat treat with it. It heats stuff up a lot quicker. Propane torch will work just fine. That's what I used on the ones I'm working on now. So I know that the propane torch works just great. So on to the next. You're going to need a grinding tool. Either a Dremel. If you want to go old school and do it by hand, you can use a file or a sander. Now the grinding tool, getting these ground to a nice point and shape down a little bit, that's the only part that's going to take a while. I'll show in the video that when I actually do that, how each one works. I'll use a Dremel, a file, and a sander to show how you can do each one. That's the only part that's going to actually take some time on this project. Next, you're going to need a drill. I got my drill right there. Some drill bits. I'll go over what sizes when I do that step. But what's next? Vise. Got mine right there. It's not a big vise, it's a small one, but basically I just use that just to hold my piece while it's being heated up. You can use anything else if you want to clamp it to a table or whatever, because you need something to hold this when you're grabbing these and tweaking them back into place. So that's really what the vise is used for. 1/2 inch by 1/8 inch flat stock. You can get that at Home Depot or Lowe's. I'm sure most hardware stores sell them. Lowe's, I think it cost $5. I just bought one, so it's pretty cheap and you can get more than what you need out of there. Vice grips. There you go. If you have these and you don't have pliers, that's fine. You can use this for what you use the pliers for, but you really need these, and I'll show you in that step when I do that video too of why you actually need those. Next, a round tube of some type. You're going to want the tube to be at least Let's see, I can draw this out so I don't screw up my paper. Oh well. You're going to want the outside diameter of it somewhere around 3.5, and you want, you know, it to be kind of a tube of some type. Now I'll explain why when we go over that step. That's how we're going to make the ring. We're actually going to roll that steel around it. So that's that. A leather strap. In the original ones that I made from scratch, I used an old belt. You can find it at the Salvation Army or a place like that really cheap. The ones I'm working on now, I'm actually buying the leather. I'll put a link to where you can buy it, and it's only like $10 for a piece of leather, so it's not that bad. Rivets. You're going to need rivets to attach the leather. You can get those at either the place that I'm going to leave a link for at the leather company, or a Michael's craft store. You can get a whole box of them for like $4. I'll go over that too. What sizes, how to use them, you know, everything. 12. Any paints or dyes for the metal and leather you might want. You know, if you want to repaint this because it gets, you know, messed up, or you want to, you know, take your leather and you have a plain piece of leather and you want to dye it, you know, you're going to have to buy leather dye. That's really about all you're going to need the paints and dyes for. Like I have a piece of leather right here that I bought from a store. Too bad I only have one of these because I don't have enough to make two, but that would have worked out. But I'll go over all that too in those steps, answer all the questions. The only optional tool that will make, you know, it's not going to make it better, it's not going to make it easier, is having a welder. The only options of it is if you want to add weld to the claws, if there's not a lot on there and you don't think there's enough on there. This is only welded on the top. It's strong enough, you know, that's no problem. And when we form the rings, to attach the ring to itself, I usually weld that together, but you don't have to do that, and I'll show you why. Concerning a welder, if you know how to do it and you went out and you purchased the oxyacetylene torch, you can actually weld with that. So you can actually do what a welder would do on the actual Shuko or the ring. The welding is not so much a structural idea. It's more of just, you know, if you want to make sure that the ring's gonna hold. But the way I'm gonna show you, I know the ring's gonna hold even without welding, so you won't have to worry about that. But that's pretty much it. Like I said, list, you're gonna need Shuko, pliers, a heat source of some type, propane or the oxyacetylene torch, a grinding tool, a Dremel or files, a drill, a vise. The 1/2 by 1/8 flat stock, like I said, you can get that at Home Depot or Lowe's. Vise grips. Right there. The round tube of some type. I'm using a piece of PVC pipe that I got at Home Depot. It's 3.5 inches around. It's only about that tall. Leather strap, an old belt or something like that. Like I said, I'll show the link for that. Rivets, any paints or dyes, and the optional tool is having a welder at use, but you don't really need that. The only other thing I forgot on here is a hacksaw. So that's the only thing I forgot. I forgot that. But if you have a Dremel then you don't need the hacksaw. The Dremel's got some cutting attachments on it. But that's pretty much the basics of it. Like I said, you don't really need, I mean, that's not considered, I don't even think that's a lot of stuff. I mean, a lot of these things you probably already have at your house. I know, like the heat source, and you know, maybe, you know, the round tube and the flat stock and the leather and stuff, but everything else, you know, is pretty cheap. So if you add in the $10 for the Shuko, $15 for the heat source, $5 for the flat stock, that's 30 bucks. The leather strap, like I said, if you can find one old belt at your house or an old piece of leather, something like that, that's pretty much free. Or you can go to the Salvation Army, you maybe get it for like, you know, 3 bucks. Rivets are around $4. Any paints or dyes, you probably have paints at your house, and if you buy a black belt, you don't need to, black leather belt, you don't need to dye it. So I would say altogether 10, 15, 5, that's 30. 4 plus the leather strap, that's 37. I would say, depending on prices, you're gonna be able to do all this, if you don't have any of this, for under 50 bucks. And I think that's a pretty good deal, because if you see some of the Shuko out there, they're, you know, $100 or more. And the ones that I made originally, I had a lot of hours in those, and people keep asking how much they would cost. I would have to charge, you know, $150 just because of labor. A lot of work goes into these. That's why I decided I'm going to show how to modify these so you can do it yourself very easily. It's cheap, and once I finish the ones I have done, which hopefully I'll finish this weekend, and I send them out to the person that gave me them, if he approves them and he likes them, I might start, you know, actually modding these myself and selling them. But that's really about it. Hope you guys enjoyed this first part. Like I said, part 2, hoping to have maybe by Sunday, if not Monday. And everything, I'm trying to have everything done within a week, so you guys don't have to wait so long for this whole video, all these videos to come out. That's really about it. I'll put the links up below this on where to get some of these items. And that's about it. So look out for the next video. Like I said, it'll probably be on Sunday or Monday. And that's about it.